Hey guys, this is Callum from English Shooting, and after doing the video last week, a congratulations to Terry, by the way, who won the 2 tickets from last week's video and last week's competition. They'll be on their way to you shortly. But after the video, I was contacted by another subscriber called Andrew who raised a very important point, and I thought I would cover that point today. That is carrying firearms on public transport within the UK. I have made a similar video previously around carrying firearms on the tube, so to summarise that video, as I was studying in London for university and was living in Portsmouth, my family home was in Portsmouth, I was getting the train, I was taking coaches, and then obviously the tubes and buses around London. Also, my range that I shot at was the other side of London to me, so I also had to take the tubes. Occasionally I would have to carry my firearms, although they were stored at the range. Every now and then I'd want to bring them home, take them somewhere else, so I'd have to travel with them on the tube. I couldn't find anything specific around carrying firearms within the TfL's website, so I contacted them directly, and they basically gave me a "it's up to the station master" answer. They wouldn't say yes and they wouldn't say no. They said it would be down to the station master's judgment if you were caught or if you were stopped. I won't say caught because that sounds like you're doing something wrong when you're not. And they said just be sensible, don't get it out, don't do anything stupid with it, and you're probably never going to be stopped anyway. So their answer was pretty much don't be an idiot, be sensible, keep it on the DL, and if you're stopped, explain yourself to the station master, carry your FAC or at least a copy of your FAC and be able to produce it and explain that you're heading to your range. And the vibe that I got from that email was that it's okay, but they weren't going to give me carte blanche permission. I also contacted National Express and Greyhound, who were running coaches at the time up to London from Portsmouth, and they both said it was fine, no issue whatsoever, but they wanted prior knowledge. They wanted me to give them a heads up, so I think they said so they could get special insurance in place. I don't know what they were going to insure against, but they needed to get something in place, so I think they gave me a 2-week sort of deadline before I was travelling to let them know. So that was pretty easy. I never had any issues. I carried firearms on the coaches, I carried them on the train as well. I did contact the company that provides that route between Portsmouth and London. I didn't get a response, so I wasn't told no. I took the same sort of advice from TfL that I'll break it down, put it in my suitcase, no one will be none the wiser. And I never had any issues. I was never stopped. I didn't even get any funny looks. I even once carried my Beretta over and under from one of the stations, maybe King's Cross it may have been, one of the big railway stations, out to Dartford, and I was carrying it in the Beretta hard case. I had my full shooting gilet on. I looked as shootery as you could be. No funny looks, wasn't stopped. So I know from first-hand experience that public transport and firearms isn't necessarily an issue. However, Andrew actually contacted the provider that provides the route that he would have to take to get to the NEC and got sort of conflicting messages, and at first was told no, and then he sort of challenged that, and then they didn't really know, and I think it's being escalated and they're finding somebody that actually knows what they're talking about. And unfortunately, this is what you'll get most of the time, is if you're talking to a customer representative of one of these companies, they're not going to know. It's not on their websites. I've done some thorough searching. I cannot find anything specifically on, say, Virgin or Southwest Trains or the big names within the train providers. There's nothing in black and white, so it's sort of open to interpretation, apart from the fact that I was able to find a National Rail document, and of course the National Rail oversees all the railways within the UK, and it specifically says from National Rail that unloaded licensed firearms are permitted to be carried with prior agreement of the railway provider. So it is down to the company. You do need prior permission from the train company to be able to carry a firearm. So if you are thinking of going to the NEC and the Great British Shooting Show mid-February, then start contacting the train lines that you will be using and explaining the situation. Don't just message them saying, is it all right to carry a gun? Explain that you're a licensed firearms owner, put a copy of your certificate and tell them that you're looking at buying a gun. Would it be okay to carry that unloaded, boxed up firearm on the train back home? And I'm sure if you put all of that information in there, explain that it's for a very legitimate reason, you're probably not going to have an issue. Unfortunately, if you do get a response back that says, no, we're not giving you permission, then that is the answer. And you would be very, very silly to go against that, because if you are stopped and you have been told no, you're technically trespassing with a firearm, which is a serious offence. I know there's a lot of people that are going to be thinking, well, it's better to ask for forgiveness than ask for permission. When firearms are involved, that's not the case. Again, you'd be very silly to just chance it. I know a lot of you will be thinking that, and I'm sure 99% of people out there who are sensible wrap the gun up, it doesn't look like a firearm, carries it in a blank box, you're not going to have an issue. But if you are stopped, technically you're in violation of the guidance given by National Rail. It could get very grey and murky. I know for a lot of people, taking the car may seem like an inconvenience. It might be easier for you to get the train, but unfortunately, being a firearms owner within the UK can be quite an inconvenience at some points, and that's probably one of the things you're going to have to deal with if you can't get that permission. But be forthcoming with it, be honest, be sensible about it, contact them and give them all the information that they're going to need, even the times that you're likely to be travelling on the train, and explain that you're a sports shooter, vermin shooter or hunter, what you do with the firearms even, and the procedures that you would be taking on the train, like not carrying ammunition with it, not carrying magazines, putting the bolt separately, putting a lock through the breech if that's possible. All these little things that are going to reassure the train line that is running that route that you're going to be sensible and no issue carrying a firearm on their train. I just cannot advise people just risking it. Please do contact them. The potential for trouble if you do risk it is just so huge. Although personally I've never had any issues, I've never even been stopped, you just know with so many shooters going there, with so many people carrying firearms related bits, and certainly with the gear that most people will wear to those sorts of shows, Browning caps, Beretta caps, shooting vest, all that sort of thing, it's going to be heightened. I think people are going to be aware of what people are carrying, and the potential for people to get upset and throw a tantrum and cause an issue is just too great. So if you've got that email from the train line saying, yep, it's fine, then you are good to go. And it's just so powerful having that. No one can really challenge you on that. You just produce it with your FEC and go, there we go, what's the issue? So there we go, guys. I thought it was important to get that out and stress that you can carry firearms on public transport within the UK, but it is always best to contact the companies beforehand and have permission within email in black and white, just in case you're stopped, just in case there's any issues. So thank you very much for watching this video, guys. I hope you found it useful. I hope you've enjoyed it. And as always, I hope to see you soon.